Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Depending on where you are, I want to thank you for taking the time today to watch this presentation by Railbookers of 5 of the best countries in Europe to experience by train. My name is Kyle Smith, and I am the Business Development Manager here for Railbookers, and it's my honor to be your host today. I am certainly looking forward to a great presentation with you all about Europe and how it's still one of our top trending destinations right now as we've been battling this COVID-19 pandemic. But before we really get started here, I'd like to do a quick mic check to make sure that I am coming in loud and clear. So if you wouldn't mind going into the GoToWebinar grid to your right, into the question box and give me a yes or no that you can see my screen and hear me loud and clear, and then I will continue here. I'll give you a moment just to do that. All right, a lot of you guys are saying yes. I do see a no in here. I don't show any issues on my end. I'll be notified from GoToWebinar if I have a technical difficulty. You may want to check your connections real quick too at some point if I'm still a little shady coming through. But anyway, I want to thank you all for taking the time today as we are certainly living in a changed world. And the reality of it is a lot of things are going to be different once everything goes back to normal, but a couple of things remain constant. And number one is the need to travel. People will always want to travel regardless of what's going on in the world, especially when they feel it is safe. And with our presentation today, we've been getting a lot of inquiries for Europe still, even though Europe is a focal point of everything going on right now with the coronavirus. But we are still getting a lot of inquiries from everyday customers on our website. A lot of inquiries are coming in, and I'll be talking to you about our booking flexibility and why you should be considering us for your next European voyage whenever that may happen. Because the short answer is we're able to book everything for you 2 years out. And there's all kinds of travel deals going on right now. So depending on who you are, if you are not intimidated by the world events, you may want to consider making your reservations for a future date down the road when this thing comes to an end, and take advantage of the great travel deals. So I certainly hope you're paying attention to all that. But just the reason why I'm stalling a little bit, guys, is our numbers are still climbing from attendees. I don't want to get too far into the presentation, especially for those that are just logging on. You have not missed anything other than my introduction. And we certainly hope you and your families are all safe and healthy right now. We imagine the majority of you are working from home, and we certainly hope that transition has been a smooth one for you. It's been for me, living in Southern California, which is where we're headquartered. It's been an interesting turn of events here in the state of California, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm thankful that all of you are here today to learn a little bit about Europe. I certainly hope you enjoy this presentation. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here. Moving on to the next slide. Before I really open it all up, though, there's a couple of free handouts I'd like for you to download to your computer there. We've got the most popular trains in Europe and how we can customize any vacation package. So if you, excuse me, if you go into the GoToWebinar grid, you can obviously download that right to your computer, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Now, seeing how this presentation is live, go ahead and ask me any question at any time. I will save my responses until the end of the presentation, and I will answer those in the order in which they arrive. Now, I do want to tell you just a little bit about our company overall, just in case this is your first webinar with Railbookers, but we are actually a part of the largest independent tour operator for rail vacations called the Yankee Leisure Group Incorporated. Now, that's not going to mean anything to you. That's not a business name you would come across when you're trying to hunt for a vacation, whether here domestically or international. But we are a privately held independent tour operator. And independent means that we don't do official escorted groups. So you don't ride with 50 people on the trains with us and get escorted to your sightseeing activities. We specialize in independent travel, where you, your loved ones, or maybe some friends of yours want to go somewhere, go to Europe, go to Canada, maybe even stay right here in the USA. It all depends on what you want to do. but we'll take care of all the logistics for you, and I'll be talking to you about that. So we have a couple of brands that are pretty well known throughout the travel industry. Our domestic brand is Amtrak Vacations, which is really well known, and our company is the official tour operator for Amtrak. And to make a really long story short, Amtrak, as we know, is our national train service that travels to 48 out of the 50 states and can take you to A to B really quickly. And years ago, 2007 to be exact, they were getting a lot of inquiries from Amtrak customers that would like to use the Amtrak and go on vacation and stay at a hotel and do some sightseeing activities. Well, Amtrak, being a transportation company that moves roughly 40 million passengers a year, they don't know anything about vacations. And so they reached out to us and we became their official tour operator, doing business as Amtrak Vacations. So we've been working very closely with them since 2007. And we have a lot of wonderful destinations here in the United States that you may want to consider if that's something you're looking to do. For example, for Amtrak Vacations, we're getting there's a lot of attraction right now for the national parks. So Amtrak Vacations, in a nutshell, goes to Glacier Park in Montana, Yellowstone National Park, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, and many others. And Amtrak actually runs service in some cases right into the national park. Glacier Park in Montana, for example, there's an Amtrak stop right at the entrance to the national park. And Amtrak Vacations will handle your hotels inside the parks. They'll do your tours and round trip rail from your home station. Now, our founding brand is called Yankee Holidays. That's not going to mean anything to you. It's a brand that we are mostly promoting with travel agents, but it's not a brand that we focus on 100%. We do Amtrak Vacations and Railbookers mainly. And Railbookers is our international brand that does worldwide independent rail vacations throughout Europe, Canada, Asia, Australia, and South Africa. Now, these are the 2020, 2021 brochures. You can request these online right now to get that emailed out to you. Our warehouse distribution plant is based in Chicago, and they are not operating right now. So we can email you our brochures. And once things start opening back up, we can mail you the hard copies if that's something you're looking for. But today's presentation is all about Railbookers. And so we have 4 distinct brochures for you to choose from. I mentioned our generic one on the far left a moment ago, but we also do Via Rail vacations for Canada. And Via Rail is Canada's national train service. It's their Amtrak, in other words. And we do a lot of great vacation packages through the Canadian Rockies, going across Canada from either Vancouver heading east to Toronto or vice versa, and up through the Northeast corridor. So a lot of people travel with us. They want to see the Rockies. They want to go to Niagara Falls. They want to go to Halifax and everywhere in between. So if that's something you want to consider, I would encourage you to check out our Canada packages. For our Europe destinations, we have Eurostar Vacations by Railbookers. Now, the Eurostar is a high-speed bullet train that originates out of London and goes under the channel to Paris and will connect you into the heart of the European rail network. And so Eurostar will focus on Western Europe, round trip, either starting or ending in London, and a lot of great destinations throughout France, the Netherlands, down through Spain, and even all the way over to Portugal, believe it or not. So if that's something you want to look at. And we also have a dedicated brochure for Italy, for Trenitalia Vacations. Trenitalia is Italy's national train service. And so we are closely partnered with the Trenitalia, and Italy is typically our top booking destination. And so I would encourage you to download at least each of these brochures or request a copy, and we'll get those out to you as soon as the country starts opening up. Now, why travelers love Railbookers? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can get us on the phone very quickly. Planning a rail trip is actually a very complicated thing. Everyone can figure out on a sightseeing activity. It's really the train that confuses a lot of people about traveling throughout a country or traveling international, and we can help you with that. And I'll really explain that as we go further into the presentation. We can also fulfill your bucket list experiences. So everybody has those top destinations they want to visit to. I have mine, you have yours, and I'm sure some of them will match, some of them will not, but whatever that case is, we're able to fulfill that for you. Just to give you a quick example, maybe you'd like to do the real luxurious Rocky Mountaineer through the Canadian Rockies and then go across Canada to Toronto on the Via Rail. We can fulfill that for you. Or maybe you're looking to do the GON, a very luxurious train in Australia. Or maybe you want to do the Blue Train in South Africa. Whatever the case may be, we're able to fulfill your bucket list experiences. Freedom and flexibility. Now, we can customize any vacation for you. I will be showing you our top 5 destinations and some of our top packages, but we could always customize, and I'll get into that. Traveling by train is probably the most scenic way to travel. There's plenty of room to roam on the train, and I'll get into that, as well as customizable itineraries. Now, you'll have 24-hour support from our global offices no matter where you travel anywhere in the world. We have locations in Laguna Hills, California, Toronto, Boston, Massachusetts, London, and Sydney, Australia. So no matter where you are traveling in the world, we have a local office that is there to assist you with anything you need. It's not uncommon during the peak travel season to get phone calls from customers who have general questions. And those can range from anything from, what's a really popular sightseeing activity that I can do on a whim to, hey, can you call the next hotel and get them to do this for me? Whatever the case may be, there is always somebody available to you when you give us a call. Now, right now, we have a maximum flexibility offer with everything going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've made it really easy to work with us right now because we are still getting new bookings on a weekly basis. So right now, with any new reservations, you can change or cancel your travel dates up until 5 days prior to departure, and you will not take on any change or cancellation fees. So to give that a perspective, we're able to book rail and hotels, everything 2 years in advance. So let's say you made a reservation today, just for giggles here, for let's say February of next year. And then as we get closer to February, maybe there's a second wave of this, I don't know. But if you chose not to travel, you have up until 5 days to make up your mind. There will be no cancellation penalties or anything like that. Now that's true for existing reservations. Maybe you've already booked something with us in the past and you're here to learn a little bit more about us. If you determine it's not right for you to travel, you have up until 5 days prior to departure to cancel or change your travel dates. And that's our policy right now. That is running through May 31st, and I have a feeling that'll likely be extended until September 1, given everything that's going on right now. Now, if you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. Now, we take the mystery out of rail travel, and let me make this real for you. Of course, I don't know my audience today, as everybody comes from all different walks of life with different travel experiences under their belts. But most people the general consensus is most people don't understand the logistics of train travel. Everyone obviously knows what a train is. You've probably been on one at some point in your life. But, if I were to ask you how long it would take to take a train from, let's say, London to Rome in Italy, how long would that take? What would it cost to go round trip and things like that? You probably wouldn't know how to answer that question. Or if I asked you how long it would take to take the Amtrak, let's say from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington, how long of a trip that would take? How many hours? What would the cost be round trip for 2 people in a private sleeper? You're probably, without going to Google, you're probably not going to be able to know to answer that question. Now, that's not everybody, but that's the general majority because rail is still a mystery. And that's why we're here, is because we take the mystery out of that rail. So let me ask you a trivia question. Let's keep it here in the States for simplicity. How long do you think it would take to take the Amtrak from DC all the way to Seattle, Washington, each way, and what would a round trip ticket cost in a basic sleeper? Anybody want to take a guess? Okay, I'm seeing a week, $1,000. Okay, I'm seeing some responses saying 2 days each way. Okay, good. One saying probably longer than I think, but I don't know what the cost would be. Yeah, exactly. And that's okay, but we're here to make that easier for you. Just to give you the answer, to go from the East Coast of the US to the West Coast is 3 nights on board the Amtrak each way. And round trip, let's say out of DC, that would probably cost about $25 to $3,000, give or take, depending on the schedules and how booked the train is. So most people don't realize that. But if I were to ask you how long it would take to fly from let's say New York JFK to Los Angeles LAX, how long would that would take each way, and what would a round trip ticket cost? You could probably figure that out naturally without having to go onto the internet. So the whole goal of our organization is to take the mystery out of rail. For example, with that from London to Rome, there's actually 5 different ways you can do that by rail. So our question to you is, do you want the most scenic route? Do you want the most direct route? And we'll walk you through the different accommodations as you have 3 or 4 different options. So rail is a little more on the complicated side, but the experiences you get on board the train are nothing compared if you're flying. I mean, you're going to see the world in a way you cannot see. Obviously, if you're flying, sometimes, depending on where you're going, even if you're driving, you can't see certain things that you can only see on board a train. And so this is the European Rail Network map, and all those different colors represent each country's high-speed rail service that goes international. So the questions we'll get on a daily basis are usually, hey, I want to go from London to Paris to Barcelona to Italy up to Germany. I made that up, but I've had that inquiry before. How does all that come together by rail? Well, that's why we're here. We'll make that easy for you. We will show you exactly where the trains go, where they connect, how long it will take, and we'll walk you through the different accommodations so you can make an informed decision about if rail is right for you. Now, if you'd like a copy of this rail network map, you can find it online at railbookers.com, and you can see a blown up version of it, and you can even download it to your computer if you'd like to do that as well. All right, thank you for your engagement there. Here is the Canadian Rail Network map. Now, I know today's presentation is about Europe, but I do want to touch on Canada because we are a worldwide rail tour operator. But this map's a little bit easier to read. The Via Rail, Canada's national train service, goes all over the country. The most popular route that Via Rail has is this red one called the Canadian that goes across the screen here. And this is the longest route that the Via Rail network can offer you. And this is where you'll take in the Canadian Rockies and get the beautiful scenery as you go across country on board the Via Rail. Now, Via Rail offers the majority of their services up here through the Northeast. That's primarily where Canadians live. And so if that's something you're looking to do, if you'd like to see Toronto, Niagara Falls, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec City, Halifax, those are some of our largest destinations in Northeast Canada. And the Via Rail is a great way to get from city to city. Or if you want to go clear across country, it's totally up to you, of course. I would encourage you to get a Via Rail vacations brochure so you can have this map. Now, one thing our organization has that nobody else does is a direct partnership with the rail operators. Now, I mentioned that we are the official tour operator for Amtrak. We have a full unlimited access to the rail network. We can book Amtrak 2 years in advance. Same thing with Via Rail up in Canada and all the European high-speed bullet trains. Now, that may not be a big deal to you depending on when you want to travel, but here's what I will tell you. If you tried to look up a train right now from, let's say, I'll just make it up, from London to Rome, let's say, for example, for, let's say, October 1st. You're not going to be able to view that schedule right now online because the rail companies don't release their fares and schedules until about a month before departure. It's just the way they do it. And so if you're trying to book a trip to Europe by yourself, you're going to obviously start with your airfare. Then you're going to look at your hotels, possibly your sightseeing activities next. The rail will be the absolute last portion that you can book, and you're going to have to wait until a month before departure. But if you give us a call, we're able to book all your trains in a 2-year booking window right now. And that is great because the pricing will be so much more affordable as supply and demand comes into effect there. So, the reservations we're taking today for Europe are all for 2021, starting in January all the way through December, since we have full unlimited access to the rail. So now you can put your European trip way out in the future, save a lot of money, and the COVID-19 situation will likely be done and gone by the time it's time for you to go to Europe. So keep that in mind. Now, what does Railbookers offer? Well, we do, again, like what I call independent rail vacations. So we're going to take care of all major components. Now, we're no different than any other vacation package you may have booked in the past for yourselves. We take care of the transportation. In our case, obviously, that's going to be the trains, and our reservations will come with confirmed seat reservations. Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but sometimes in Europe, you have to make your reservation, and then there's a supplemental reservation fee that goes on top of it to guarantee your seats. And the reason why that'll happen is because billions of people a year travel on the European rails. And so there is a supplemental booking fee involved there. Now, you may not have realized that, but we know exactly where that's going to come into play. So when you make a reservation with us, you will have a guaranteed seat on the train. We offer hotel accommodations right in the city center. Now, the hotels that we contract with, like in London, Paris, just to name out a few cities, Basel in Switzerland, they are all ranging from 3, 4 to 5-star rated properties that are city center. So you're going to be right in the heart of the action. You're not going to have to go out of your way to get to a hotel. For example, in London, we offer a great property, the Magaro, which is directly across the street from the St. Pancras International Terminal, which is the train station you're going to have to go to, and to go under the channel into Paris to go anywhere else in Europe. So our hotels are conveniently located there, as well as near Buckingham Palace and Parliament, and right near the London Eye, Big Ben, and all of that. So you're not going to be way outside the city and have to rely on the subway to get into the city. You're right in the heart of the action. So our hotels, again, 3, 4, and 5-star rated properties. Now, we can also offer ferries and transfer transportation if you're needing that as well. Now, sightseeing activities, we offer the most popular in any given city. Let me give you an example. So here is the Skip the Line tour in Rome. So last year, we sent some of our team members to Italy to experience our top booking destination. And this is the line outside the Colosseum. Now, keep in mind, you don't know this, but this photo was actually taken in August. And if you've ever been to Italy in the summer months, it is hot. And with the Skip the Line tour, our team members were able to get right past this major line and get right into the key attractions. So the most popular activities that you can imagine in a city, we provide automatically in our packages. In Venice, for example, we do the world famous gondola ride. Everybody wants to do one of those romantic gondola rides going in between the buildings and out on the harbor. We provide that in our packages automatically. Now, if you have an activity that you're set on that's specific, let us know, because we're able to arrange that for you as well. Okay, now with rail travel, here's exactly what you need to know. Now, I can spend 3 hours talking to you about the trains in Europe. There's a lot of details to go over, so I'm going to really try to keep this on point and simple. But we offer all the commuter service trains that you can imagine. So here's a quick sample of them. The Renfe trains in Spain. They offer standard accommodations, first class accommodations, and we're able to book every accommodation on any European train. Now, a couple of things to know about rail travel in Europe. These trains are affordable, they're efficient, and they're almost always on time. I mean, that train will leave right at 10:01 a.m. if they say that's what time it'll leave the train station. So it's always best to get to a train station a little on the early side. But these trains operate at a high rate of speed. The average is about 200 miles per hour. And the first time I was on the Eurostar from London to Paris, we had left the station. I didn't even realize we left the station. It was that smooth. Next thing I know, we're in the countryside. At 200 miles an hour heading to Paris. It's 2.5 hours from London to Paris. It's a great way to travel. So there's Eurostar out of London there. We offer the standard premier, the business class, the first class accommodations. So no matter where you want to sit on the train, we're going to be able to assist you with that. Now, on board the train, you are responsible for handling your luggage on and off the train. So you're going to have to keep that in mind. But as you can notice, if you can see here with the Trenitalia train in Italy, there's a lot of storage space up here. to handle carry-on items. And in the back of the train car, right near these double doors, you'll have storage racks where you can put your larger suitcases. And I would encourage you to bring a lock and key so you can bolt it to the rack. It'll just give you that added security. And that's pretty common with rail travel. So you will have to handle your luggage on and off the trains and getting through the train stations. Now, on board these European trains, especially the commuter ones, you'll have a snack car, which is what you're seeing here with the Renfrew train, as well as service that will be served to you in your seat, depending on where you are. So if you're doing a first class ticket, meals will be brought to you. If you're in economy seating, you'll have to go to the snack car to purchase your meals on board the train, but it's an experience, to say the least. Now, on board the train, you have some fine dining options. You'll notice the Via Rail here for Canada. This is their dining car, where breakfast, lunch, and dinner is reserved. This is the Glacier Express in Switzerland, a very scenic, luxurious train. This is what they call the Excellent class, with the panoramic windows and 5-star gourmet food that will be served to you. So basically, in a nutshell, if you don't know anything about rail in Europe, it's affordable, it's efficient, it's on time. You have a lot of great amenities on board: complimentary Wi-Fi, newspapers, free coffee and snacks. Because basically the people on board these trains are also business travelers going from one country or one city to another. And the trains operate at a high rate of speed, and there are multiple daily departures out of the major train stations. So out of London to Paris, you'll have over 45 different trains to choose from, starting at 7 a.m. in the morning, going to 10 o'clock at night, and everywhere in between. And so you'll just need to advise us, on any package you're looking at. I want to get on the train at such and such time and go to my next destination. Now, if that's not what you're looking for when it comes to rail, if I could be more specific, put those into the question box. I am noticing a ton of great questions right now, and I will get to those here very shortly. Now, here's everything you need to know about luxury rail travel, because this is where it really lies with us, is those luxurious moments here. So I'm going to talk about each of these trains here just briefly to give you a bird's eye view of them. The Venice Simplon Orient Express, also known as the VSOE. This is a very scenic 1900s train. There was the movie that came out a few years ago, Murder on Board the Orient Express. We got a lot of hits on this train after that Hollywood production. And this is one of the most luxurious trains anywhere in the world. When you get on board the train, you're going to feel like you've stepped back in time 100 years. And it definitely has that early 1900s feel to it. There's a major dress code on board this train. You have to be wearing slacks and a jacket on board. And for the nighttime dinners, it is a black tie event. It's a very classy train. You're looking at the Grand Suite here for 2 people, one of the most luxurious accommodations you can get on board the train. Everything on this train is 5-star. Everything from the champagne down to the caviar, even the happy hour time is a production. And so if you are that type of traveler, if you spare no expense and it's all about 5-star and you're interested in rail, this is going to be a train to consider. We have the Gone train here. The Gone is extremely popular in Australia. It has a lot of the feels of the VSOE, with the same amenities and the same accommodations. And Australia is actually a very large country. I didn't know this until I went there for the first time a year and a half ago, that it's the island itself is almost the size of the mainland of the United States. I didn't realize that, but it does take 3 days to get across country by rail in Australia, and the Gone is a very luxurious way to do that. The Golden Eagle, extremely popular. The Rocky Mountaineer in Canada, very luxurious. This is a daytime privately owned train. It's not a part of Via Rail, and it runs service right through the Canadian Rockies. And you're looking at the gold leaf accommodations there, where you have panoramic windows and everything is all inclusive. The Via Rail, you're down there at the bottom at the center of your screen. This is, again, Canada's national train service, but they have the Prestige class, which is a 5-star upgrade. mainly reserved for customers who are looking to go across Canada by rail, as that's one of the most luxurious rail itineraries anywhere in the world. The Via Rail is an affordable way to do this, and they have the Prestige class, where you have your very own observation car, your own private dining area, and you're completely cut off from the rest of the train. Very interesting. And of course, we have the Blue Train in South Africa. It's a toss-up between the Blue Train and the VSOE for which one is more luxurious. But these are phenomenal train journeys, a great way to see the country. Now, to keep this simple, we can book all accommodations on board these trains. And generally, people that are interested in these trains know something about them prior to calling us. So if you identify the accommodation you want, we're able to go ahead and secure that for you, as well as your other hotels and sightseeing activities as well. Now, we know because we go, so you get rail expertise from global travelers. So each year, our company does familiarization trips where we take our employees around the world to experience the most popular trains and our top selling destinations. I've traveled to multiple countries in Europe. I've been to Canada. I've done the Amtrak, and I've been on the train in Australia. So I've done them all. And it's a great way to get that expertise. Our team is well equipped to make it real for you. We can give you packing tips for the trains. We'll tell you the do's and don'ts of rail travel and everything you're going to need to know, because rail is still a mystery in a lot of people's minds. And so when you're talking to our travel consultants, they've likely been on the train or been to the destination that you're interested in, and they'll be able to give you some fun facts and things you may want to know from somebody who's already done it. Okay, well, without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and share with you some of our top destinations and packages right now. The first one is the Andalucian Explorer. This is a great way to see Spain, as that is one of our top destinations right now. Just to give you the highlights, we include not only the rail all in between these great cities, but as well as your hotels and your sightseeing activities. So this particular journey begins in Madrid with a one-night stay, more of a pre-night than anything, and a great setup for you to be able to rail travel throughout the rest of the country. So while on this particular package, let me go back to the map for a minute. Your second destination is going to be Cordoba, Granada, and then Seville, and then the rail all the way back into Madrid. And on board this particular package, you'll have the Flamenco show in Cordoba, which is a live entertainment. It's a great activity, as well as the Skip the Line tour for the Alhambra Palace tour. Now, Skip the Line is the key here, because depending on when you go in Spain, in the summer months, it's definitely hot and humid, and you'll be able to get in front of all the lines and do this great palace tour with this wonderful garden shot and everything else that the tour offers. Here is the tour of the Alcazar in Seville that we will include a Skip the Line tour. This is one of the most popular attractions throughout Spain, and so we'll include the Skip the Line tour for this, but you'll be guided on this particular tour, so you're going to learn a lot about the history of Seville as well as this great palace too. So a lot of good opportunities here for you. Now, before I continue on here, sorry, my screen froze here. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I just got a quick alert. I'm on the screen that says, what does it mean to customize a trip? Can you verify that for me real quick before I continue? Okay, perfect. Looks like we're okay. Yeah, it flicked on and flicked off for a second. My apologies. Okay, so what does it, again, mean to customize a trip? Well, let's say if you're planning to visit Paris, you can add on any destination. We can handle that. For example, when I was on the phones full time making reservations, we would have customers heading to Europe to go to a wedding in Paris or Italy, whatever the case may be. And then the people traveling wanted to see other parts of Europe since you're already over there. So we can add on a single destination getaway if you prefer, or even a full-blown itinerary to handle 4 or 5 different countries and everything in between. You can make it a round trip journey from us. If you'd like to start and finish in London, for example, we can do that as well. Or we can book a trip in reverse order. So there's a lot of great opportunities that you can have with us. And so moving on here, I want to go to our next package. Here we go. Our Grand London and Paris. Now, this is one of our most popular tours right now that we're getting a lot of interest in. This is a good, quick, and easy way to see a little bit of Europe. We often find people that book this package, it's their first time to Europe and they want to kind of keep it simple, but who wants to go to Europe just to see one country? So here's a great way to kind of get started. This journey begins with a 3-night stay in London. You'll notice the Eurostar under the channel to Paris for a 3-night stay. And we include a lot of great activities while you're in London, starting off with the Skip the Line tour for the London Eye, one of the most popular attractions throughout London. We also include a hop-on, hop-off tour, and those are those double-decker buses that will go around the city. You can get on and get off anywhere you'd like. And we can oftentimes we'll include the underground tunnel, the subway network for you. That's an efficient way to get around London, as it is a large city. And you can get off and see, you know, Buckingham Palace. You can go over and see Parliament and a lot of the major churches and castles. So that's the beauty of independent travel with us. We give you some popular activities to explore, but you're really on your own. So you can do as little or as much as you'd like. Now, the next part of your journey will take you under the channel to Paris. And here, obviously, the Eiffel Tower speaks for itself. We include the Skip the Line tour for the Eiffel Tower. That's going to be a very necessary thing because that line can get awfully long. Now, while in Paris, a lot of people like to roam around the city on their own, but we'll often include day trips out to Normandy at your request, of course. We run a great tour out of Paris right out to Normandy. It's a little logistically challenged to get out there by the rails. So we do a round trip out of Paris for the day. That's also extremely popular, but that just goes into our customization. You don't have to do exactly what we're presenting to you. You can make the trip your own. Now, the next package I want to share with you is for Ireland. One of my most favorite destinations that I've been to are Dublin, Killarney, and Galway. Now, we're getting a lot of inquiries for Ireland right now. Norway is another one as well, because the outbreak of the coronavirus has been minimal in Ireland. So a lot of people are wanting to go check out this destination. I mean, naturally, it seems like in the USA, you're either Irish or Italian. And so the Irish Rail is a great way to get around the country. I was fortunate to lead a familiarization trip through Ireland last September, and this is the package we did. It was a lot of fun. And Ireland is just one of the most beautiful countries to see by rail. And most people don't think of rail when they go to Ireland. They're thinking of driving tours, which you can obviously do as well. But the rail is a great way to get from city to city because of how affordable and efficient it really is. So on this particular journey, upon arrival into Dublin, you're going to have the hop-on, hop-off tour. A great way to get around the major city, as well as the Skip the Line tour for the Guinness Storehouse. Now, I didn't know this, but the Guinness Storehouse is the most popular attraction in all of Ireland. It outranks the Ring of Kerry tour out of Killarney, as well as the Cliffs of Moher. I did not realize that, but then again, it's beer, so there you go. But we include the Skip the Line tour. Now, that's golden, because when we visited this last year, that line was at least 2 hours to get in. And so we were able to get right in. You'll learn a lot, obviously, about Guinness beer, how it's made, where it came from, and then the art of pouring the perfect Guinness beer. It's not as easy as it looks. You have to angle the cup at certain intervals to make sure that the beer rises. It's really interesting. They even teach you the best tactics on how to drink a Guinness beer. You have to go deep. You can't sip it. Otherwise, you're just getting the nitrogen. You basically have to get the top of your lip all the way to the bridge of your nose, immersed in the beer to get to the beer, to taste it. So you have to go deep. So if it's your first Guinness, you're going to have to buck up and go deep on it. But it was a lot of fun. And they have a great museum in there as well, where you can get T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. So it's a beautiful museum. It's 6 stories. They have a great glass panoramic view of Dublin. You can go up there and enjoy your beer. It's a lot of fun. So those will be the activities that you do in Dublin. And then as you get on board the Irish Rail and head out head out west towards Killarney. You get these beautiful sights. This is a little bit about what the scenery looks like when you're on board the Irish Rail. There's a lot of farmland, and it's definitely picturesque. And then you'll arrive into Killarney for a 2-night stay. And Killarney is a great town. I absolutely fell in love with it when I was there last year. It's small. It's a small town. It's safe. You can walk the city center in just a few minutes. And all of our hotels are just slightly outside the city center, and maybe a 10-minute walk at the most. And a pub on every corner. I had a lot of fun sitting in the pubs watching soccer or football, as they call it over in Europe, and enjoying Guinness and just talking with the Irish people. I really thrived on that. But you'll get to do the Ring of Kerry tour while you're with us, and that'll be a full day activity just outside of Killarney. You'll make your way to the starting point in City Center. You'll get on a green bus that'll take you all around the Ring of Kerry, and this is some of the sightseeing you're going to see before you take the Irish Rail to Galway to do the Cliffs of Moher, which was a lot of fun. Now, when you do the Cliffs of Moher, you're going to see the cliffs from 2 vantage points. You're going to see it from on top, like what I'm showing you here, and then you're going to see it on a boat looking up. So you're going to get a lot of great moments there to capture those iconic images. And then you're going to get back on board the rail to head all the way back into Dublin. And those rail transports are just an hour or 2 at the most. And that way you can see a lot of Ireland in a very short amount of time. So here's the map again. You'll start here in Dublin, you'll rail south into Killarney, Ring of Kerry, and then you're going to go all the way back to Dublin and then all the way to Galway for your 2 nights. And a lot of farm country here in between. So that is our Ireland package that I wanted to share with you. The next one, Munich, Salzburg, and Vienna. This is a great 7-day itinerary to take in Munich, Salzburg, and Vienna. And the beautiful thing about these destinations, they're very close together. So you just have maybe 2.5 to 3 hours at most in between each city. And our package will come with standard class rail service. If you'd like to upgrade to first class, that's always highly recommended. The price differential on these trains between standard and first is really not a lot of money. And so it's certainly worth the upgrade because the amenities are fourfold, are a whole lot better. So you're just going to get a greater experience. Now, while you're here, you're going to discover the Austrian Alps, as well as the charming cities of Munich, Salzburg, and Vienna. And so here's a couple of shots that our team members took last year. You'll have guided walking tours of these great destinations, or you can view them on your own before you continue on board the rail over into Vienna. Right there in the heart of Austria, we have a hop-on, hop-off tour for you. I've not been to Vienna myself, but I'm told the hop-on, hop-off is the best way to get around the big city, and you'll check out all the famous attractions. It's definitely a foodie city and a lot of great restaurants to choose from. Here's the great city of Salzburg. Mainly people that go to Salzburg with us are wanting to do the Sound of Music tours, and that's exactly what we include in our package here, getting a great shot of the harbor. And we also include a hop-on, hop-off for you as well. That's a general theme in the larger European cities because it gives you access to some transportation without having to shell out any more money for taxis. So that's certainly included here on all of our packages. Okay, just want to go ahead and wind this down just a little bit here. So why take the train? Well, I think the picture does justice here. While there's certainly nothing wrong with motor coach travel, it is smaller, it's more cramped, or you can get on board a nice train and have a lot more space to roam, as well as having fine dining options on board the train. Now, one thing the trains are doing right now to ensure rider safety as we slowly but surely get out of this pandemic is they are going to strongly reinforce social distancing guidelines and practices at the train stations. So if you go to a train station sometime in the next year in Europe, if you're traveling over there, you'll notice that they're going to have the tape on the ground like you would see at a grocery store that'll be 6 feet apart. They've told us they're going to be providing Perel hand sanitation stations all around the train stations. The employees will be behind glass partitions to keep a physical barrier. They'll likely be wearing masks at first. We'll see what happens long term. And they're just going to encourage social distancing. But I didn't really have a photo of it. But one thing about the trains is there's really no middle seat when you're on the train. You're either on the window or you're on the aisle. So there's less people in close proximity to you. So you can maintain a distance from people there as well. I know the airlines are talking about removing the middle seat off certain airlines to keep people safe, but the trains have been doing that for years. That's just how it operates. Now, the trains right now are being disinfected every hour. So the employees are gloved and masked, and they are cleaning those bathrooms on an hour basis. They're wiping down every doorknob, every chair handle, everywhere that people congregate. They are disinfecting them every hour left and right. And so I've not been on a European train, obviously, since this whole pandemic has started. But from what I'm hearing from the train stations and the train companies, it's actually the best time to travel on the train right as this pandemic closes, because I'll bet you those trains have never been so cleaned before, in all honesty. I think the cruise ships are in the same realm. Same thing with the airlines, so hopefully you're not too discouraged from trying to travel once this pandemic comes close. One thing I've noticed in the industry is everybody is on board with keeping people safe. And so it's really, once everything opens back up and things resume as normal, it's really a good time to get started with planning your next dream vacation. So I'd like to go ahead and take a break for a minute to catch my breath, but I'm interested in you and what destinations you are interested in and what your take is on everything going on right now and when you plan on traveling and all that fun business. So let me see here. Let me get into the question box. Okay, so are you guys considering traveling to Europe or, in the next year or anything like that? Or do you guys have any doubts about that? What are you thinking right now? Okay, let me scroll down here a bit. London, Paris through the channel. Okay, a lot of you guys are considering that. Now, are you guys planning on traveling to Europe later this year or maybe next year? Have you guys thought through on that at all? I'm seeing a few Ireland responses here. Good. Norway. Oh, excellent. Very good. Okay, Glacier Park in August out of Chicago. That's a great rail itinerary, Neil. Very good. Next year, maybe some of you guys are saying Italy for next year. Okay, very good. Interesting. Very good. Now, if I can get a little personal with you guys for a moment, with some of these webinars I've been doing, some people are generally more concerned about safety on the trains and on the airplanes and things like that. Are you guys concerned about that as well, or is that sort of secondary to you as well? I realize everybody comes from a different health background and things like that, but what are your thoughts on that? Are you more inclined to travel on a train knowing that they're being proactive with cleanliness and social distancing, or is that something you'd like to see move away? I mean, where are you guys on this, if you don't mind me asking? Okay, some of you are saying that you still want to maintain social distancing. Okay. Uh, okay, a lot of you guys are looking at the private accommodations. They tend to be more cleaner and away from people. No, that's true. Very good. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, okay. Some of you guys are considering traveling by vehicle. Okay, yeah, I've been hearing that as well. Yep, on board the private sleeping on Amtrak or Via, you can get rooms across from each other. Absolutely, very good. Okay, well, I've as a rail guy myself, I've been impressed with Amtrak and Via Rail and what they're considering and what they're going to be doing. Amtrak is still running service right now. It's been deemed an essential service, and so you can, technically now you can still book a train ticket anywhere in the USA, and you'll notice that those trains are being cleaned every hour. Okay, good stuff. Well, I appreciate your honesty on that. Some of you guys don't seem to have much. It's not, safety is one thing, but it's not holding you back from making a reservation. It sounds like so that is good. Absolutely, excellent. Okay, well, I'm going to keep the question box up here for just a moment longer. I am going to go on to my slides here a bit longer. But these are some of the other popular destinations. I didn't cover all of them, but here are some of them. Scandinavia is a big one. We're getting obviously Ireland, Norway, even Denmark right now too. So those are destinations to consider. And without verifying it, I think Norway is actually opened back up. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I saw that headline the other day. But moving on here, we have some customer testimonials. I won't spend too much time on that because I want to get to your questions. But if you go to our website, railbookers.com, and I would encourage you to do that. There's a lot of good information on there. We have previous webinar recordings on there that we've done in the past. I noticed one attendee today was asking us, is it possible for us to cover the USA and Canada a bit more? To answer that question, I forget who asked it now, but yes, Amtrak Vacations will do their next webinar, I believe, next week on the national parks and how to get there by rail and life on board Amtrak. But you can find that information also online at amtrakvacations.com and railbookers.com. So again, why travelers love Railbookers? Well, freedom and flexibility. If there's anything you guys take away from today, let it be that the trains are affordable, they're efficient, on time, we can book 24 months in advance, and we can fulfill your bucket list dreams, the things that you want to do. That's basically us in a nutshell. Now, being the largest independent rail tour operator in the world, we brought home several awards of recognition last year throughout the travel industry. I won't spend too much time on this, but we have been featured on Wheel of Fortune. If any of you watch Wheel of Fortune regularly, you've probably seen some of our packages. We've also been on Forbes and USA Today, as we have absolutely changed the game when it comes to booking rail. And again, here is our maximum flexibility offer. So whether you make a reservation today or tomorrow for anywhere in a 2-year period, you have up until 5 days before departure to cancel or rebook, and there's no penalties for you. So we want to make this as flexible as possible for those of you that are still willing to travel. So with that, when you're ready, and then so are we. And here we are working from our homes since the middle of March, and we are ready and on standby for you all. And please don't forget to download the handouts that we've put in the GoToWebinar here. And I am now ready to answer your questions. So give me a moment to browse these. I'm going to start from the top. So Neil is with us today, and Neil, you've been pretty proactive on the questions, and I appreciate that. So he's asking, it looks like you booked an Empire Builder from Chicago this August. Hopefully we're still operating. So the trains will be operating, Neil, because they are essential services. That is something Congress has mandated. So the trains are currently running. There is no plans to suspend any rails at this time. It is deemed essential. So you should not have any issues with that. Looks like you know something about Glacier Park too, Neil, as the hotel's just a few steps off the train tracks. That's exactly right. Very good. All right, let's see. So Kimberly is here asking us, do you offer the valet luggage service or meet and greet for folks with handicaps in Europe? So Kimberly, that was a service that we did offer a few years ago, and that was something we tried out based upon customer demand and interest. We suspended that because it was logistically challenging to set up luggage to follow you and be at your destination before you. It was pretty complicated to do that, so that's just not a service we offer anymore. You're more than welcome to book that for yourselves. I don't know how you would do that. That would be something you'd have to go to Google for. But like I mentioned during the presentation, and I don't know if you heard this, but you do need to handle your luggage on and off the train. So if you're traveling, Kimberly, with your spouse or a friend, I would encourage both of you to bring 2 small carry-ons. And what I would do is I would put half of your clothes in the other suitcase, so everything is spread out, and that'll make it much easier to get on and off a train with a carry-on versus a large heavy suitcase, depending on, of course, what you need to bring. So that's a standard recommendation that I'll often give to people that are concerned about that. I hope that helps. Let me know if I can clarify anything for you. Okay, let's see here, all your destinations. I'm looking for questions here. Dennis asks us, do you need to lock your luggage? Is that a requirement? No, Dennis, it's not a requirement, but it is a good idea. You know, the storage racks are in plain view, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to lock it. The conductors are obviously walking by, and then, you know, they do keep an eye out for any suspicious activity, not to be a negative Nelly or anything like that, but just bring one of those locker combination locks or something like that. I did that in all my international trips on the train. It just gave me peace of mind knowing that it was secure back there, and so I did that, and there was no issue with it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see. Bob is here with us today saying, I like your package ideas. It answered a lot of my questions, but what would be better, to go with something you've pre-planned or build it on my own through you? What would be more affordable? Good question, Bob. So, well, let's say that Ireland package that I talked to you about. If you went with our standard package versus if we built it from scratch, it's going to be the same price because it's the same destinations, the same hotels, the same activities. The difference is it's going to take our team members about 30 minutes to build that from the ground up. Or we can just recommend one of the independent packages that we've kind of put together to give you an idea, but we can always tweak it. If you want to add more nights or less nights, we can do that as well, and you can make it your own, and you can get that information sent to you very quickly and not have to wait 30 minutes without options and so forth. So our travel consultants are going to steer you towards a package, but if we have to build it from the ground up, then we will, no problem at all. Timothy is asking us, is it possible to travel alone? It is, absolutely. So if you're traveling solo, of course, just let us know that and we'll put it all together for one person, no problem at all. Very good. Maria is here and she's asking us about, how do we make a reservation? Do we need to call? Do we book online? You'll actually need to call us, Maria. We have a 3-second hold time, so you can call that 888 phone number you see at the bottom right. You'll get a travel consultant right on the phone. They'll price shop whatever you're looking for, and then with a deposit, they'll go ahead and reserve your reservation. And somebody else is asking me about what is a deposit amount. Good question, and that's coming from Rick. So that'll be $250 per person is the deposit amount, and that's needed in order to hold your reservation, guarantee everything. Final payment will be due 100 days before departure. So all in between, you can call us on a weekly or monthly basis if you'd like and pay off a little bit more. We don't have a formal payment plan. You can sort of create one, whatever's best for you and for your budget. Absolutely. Okay, well, those are all the questions that have come in so far. So let me ask you guys another question. Most of you are still here today, but did you guys get out of this presentation with what you were hoping to gain? And if so, what were your key takeaways? Okay, some of you guys are mentioning that we can book anywhere in the world, that we're diversified. Yep, that we are. Very good. I didn't realize all the trains went all over the USA. That's something to look at. Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Okay, good. Very good. All righty. Well, guys, I want to thank you for the time you spent with me today. This webinar is being recorded right now, so we'll get this sent out to you later today, if not tomorrow, for your records, if you'd like to have that handy. Very good. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate your comment there. Yep, we can book everything and confirm it 2 years out with seat reservations. Absolutely. That's good to know, especially if you know something about rail, you have to sometimes jump through some extra hoops to make the reservation. So we'll handle that all for you. Very good. All right, anything else, guys? Alrighty. Well, I appreciate your time today, and I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and this pandemic will soon come to a close. I know some of the states are starting to reopen right now, so we will get past this, and we'll come out stronger on the other side. So, thank you for your time today, everybody, and we look forward to hearing from you very soon. Have a train-tastic day.